This is Infants on Game of Thrones. The philosophies of men mingled with dragons. We are the Soul.
Okay, we are recording. So my hair looks awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sure. Like there's times where I feel like my hair looks like Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Yeah, that's really funny.
I'm Syndrome.
Yeah, that's really good.
With Jason Lee, who was like Jason Lee, I think was like John the Baptist is to Jesus as Jason Lee is to T.J. Miller.
Okay.
Can you see that? Like you go back and you watch Syndrome, you like anything that Jason Lee did, and you're like, oh, that is totally Jason, or that's T.J. Miller in embryo right there. Like, I don't know, he's kind of passed the baton.
I could see the that crossover, yeah.
And I just mean a precursor. I don't mean that T.J. Miller.
No, I'm with you.
Is really the savior of the world,
right?
As you know,
or necessary, yeah. I mean that we know of. He very well may be.
He's all right, you know.
Yeah,
he's all right.
Jeez. So, are you paying attention to anything Mormonism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you paying any attention to the things that I'm paying attention to of Mormonism is the real question. The answer there is no. I mean, it's kind of like that guy on Facebook that called us out for like becoming like John DeLynn or something. You know?
Dude, I bet I'm getting blasted by even the most ardent ex-Mormons for being too rough and taking too hardline a stance. And
right.
I'm not going to let him lecture me on leave early, leave often.
Yeah, I had no idea what he was picking up on there. But
no. What have you been paying attention to?
Well, just the stuff I've been doing with Bill Reel, the Mormon primer thing.
The primer.
Yeah, that's kind of like my Mormon quota.
Yeah.
Why is there something else going on?
Oh, I just saw that the one that interested me was an adjunct professor at BYUI. Apparently, on her personal Facebook account, posted something in favor of the LGBT community and gay marriage or something like that. It just basically said, "Hey, I just nothing related to her position, nothing like that," and
right.
They told her she takes it down or gets fired. And so she went in and just said, want to make it clear, this is only my own views. This does not reflect the views of the
Mormon Church
organization or the Mormon Church or the university. And they're like, nope, not good enough. You're fired.
Wow.
Yeah. Seems kind of, it makes me want to say, man, there's got to be more to the story because it seems so.
There doesn't have to be more to that story.
It seems it seems particularly unreasonable and punitive on just a scale that it goes. I would say contrary to what's his name Ballard said about people can hold whatever opinions they want.
Maybe, but you're also the one that told the scorpion story. Several years ago on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's the back of a frog, right? The scorpion's riding the back of a frog.
So. Yeah. Or a spider and a frog, or a scorpion and a tortoise, or whatever one animal and a dangerous animal on its back. Yeah.
And then the scorpion says, oh no, I won't sting you. Just take me across the river. And then across the river, he stings him. He's like, why'd you sting me? Because I'm a scorpion.
That's what I do.
That's what I do. Yeah.
You knew what I was when you picked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And still I want to say, but maybe they're not that bad, Well, but BYU Idaho has that reputation, you know, so it's not just a reflection of the Mormon Church, but it's that extreme. No, that's a really good point, because it's like people at BYU look up north and be like, man, those guys are a little extreme,
right?
Yeah. Interesting. All right, you want to smack this? This is Infants on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so like, how was it 2 years ago that we said, yeah, we're going to start doing like the Infants on Game of Thrones thing, and we created that that intro and everything, and we've never, it's been like thrown out a couple of times as like a teaser or something. We've never actually used it. We can use it for this.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
So this came from Lindsay's nerd Facebook group. What is it? It's called Mormon Nerds for Game of Thrones.
We shouldn't promote that. Maybe we don't want everybody to know about it. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure she's talked about it before, right?
I know. I'm teasing. Yeah, we just talked about it on the podcast when we did Westworld.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Which I recently rewatched.
Yeah, you said
in a 24-hour period.
Oh.
Yeah, I started with my daughter Emma, and she just was mesmerized by the whole thing, and it was so fun to watch that again. There is so much in that show.
Huh? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I do. I want to do the same thing and go back to it. And just because I don't usually do that with shows, but I did it with Game of Thrones recently.
Yeah.
And just caught so much more that second time. It was just as enjoyable, even though it was coming on. So,
yeah. Well, and there's like, especially Game of Thrones, like multiple viewings totally hold up, and you catch more going.
Yeah, and it's Dylan's starting to get to that age now at 13 where starting to introduce her to certain TV, but I think Game of Thrones is still beyond her, and probably Westworld as well.
Yeah,
another couple of years, but
yeah, for a 13-year-old, probably. When Shaylee was 15, I watched Dexter with her. And I think that was probably a little too early. That's probably a little too early to do that.
Yeah, but, right. So Lindsay's Mormon Nerds for Game of Thrones and Westworld and other cool shows we like.
Yeah. And so somebody posted this article that's written by Michael Harriot.
Sure.
Do you know anything about him?
No. It writes, it's The Root.
And it's awesome. Like this was one of the most fun things that I've read in a long time. And it's called The Black Person's Guide to Game of Thrones.
And I read a lot on Game of Thrones, and I agree. I thought the same thing. This was different. This was special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's just really, really creative and fun. And so, or smack up, because we're smack like, up,
it's a good thing.
Yeah. And what did you think of the Game of Thrones?
Oh, the season opener. Oh, I liked
season opener.
Yeah, I really liked it.
How about like that whole poop scene with Sam?
It was gross, but I was actually appreciating what they were doing by showing just how mundane and how tedious, and also how long he was there doing that. So I thought,
it just kept going on and on, and like, oh, that's a floater. That's disgusting. Yeah, they just showed another floater. Oh, that's disgusting.
And then the combination of the poop with the soup. That was
right. Yeah, like,
and I assume that was the imagery of
right. Oh, sure.
With the bowl being the exact same shape but just slightly different. But it's
and slightly different shades of brown.
Mucusy.
Oh. Yeah. Right. Mm. See, I kept thinking the whole time, because with this episode there wasn't any nudity, right? I don't think like Game of Thrones has always had that reputation of being almost
after the first season was particularly bad,
gratuitous. First and second,
it really tapered off after that.
But I thought, if they're going to say, well, we're just showing life as it really exists, and if people are too prude to see that, then this isn't the show for them. That they take that the other way to the disgusting stuff too. Like, I respected that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see it all the time.
It was bad.
But I respected it.
Yeah, it's great. I was all in. It was one of those, and it gets like 40 minutes in, and you're just like, oh no, it's
coming. It's almost over. Yeah.
And it ended, and Kristen was just, well, it's not over. There's more. I mean, there's more.
There's got to be more. Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right, so let's start smacking this thing up.
All right. A Black Person's Guide to Game of Thrones. So he says, I was talking to a friend about my weekend plans, and I told her that I probably wouldn't do much because I probably have the bubble guts nervously awaiting the season premiere of Game of Thrones.
Bubble guts, anticipating the Sam scene.
That's right. Her reply perplexed me. shook me to my core and made me rethink many of the choices that I've made in my life. She simply turned and said, Game of Thrones? What's that?
All right. I heard you like pass the baton with your
Did
pause.
You hear that?
That was good. Yeah, we're like in sync now.
Yeah, now you know.
Right. I've heard tell of people who don't watch Game of Thrones. Not in person, mind you, because I would never associate with those people. But I can comprehend logically that there are people who exist and don't watch Game of Thrones, obviously. I mean, there are the Amish, people in comas, and those who choose not to subscribe to HBO. But I thought everyone else must be watching #DemThrones.
#DemThrones.
DemThrones.
Which I'm adopting from now on.
Yeah.
So I don't want to pause just because it's a smack up and we have to talk. But there's now seems to be this real shift in either you're a throner or not. So a number of
are we going to go like throners and thronees and kind of like the Trekkie thing? Is that
right?
Are you a throner?
Are you a throner?
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of people now who are just like, no. Like they're
just adamantly like, I've gone this far without Game of Thrones. I'm not going to get sucked in now.
Like it's now it's too cool. It's too much of a thing for them to now get in, right?
Jake was one of those, right? Wasn't Jake like that? Because like I remember one of our Vail trips where we're like, yeah, let's watch Game of Thrones.
That's right.
And he just like went into the other room
but that was because he wasn't caught up.
That was Bob. Bob was like, no, I watched this with my wife and I can't cheat on her.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I could be misremembering.
One of the two, but yeah.
But anyway, I've derailed. I didn't derail your point. I was reinforcing it, illustrating it.
But it's like a thing now with Game of Thrones. And I did see that the numbers for Game of Thrones for the season premiere was like off the charts. It was and crashed HBO's website or something like that. So yeah.
Well, thankfully, it didn't impact our ability to view it because we watch it through the app.
Yeah, I went old school. I'm plugged in with cable.
Oh, are you? Yeah.
Which worse? So I was unplugged for like a year.
Yeah,
a year and a half probably, and I added it back because they were basically giving it away, and I regret even the little tiny bit that I'm paying every month for it. It's a horrible thing. I can't wait to not have cable again.
Yeah. All right. So is it back to you?
No, you're still going.
Okay. Now I understand the level of shock people feel when I tell them that I've never tasted ice cream and I don't want to. They stare at me with the same pitying disbelief I feel when someone doesn't understand what I mean when I say that Willow and Jaden Smith remind me of Jaime and Cersei Lannister. I kind of get this reference, but not completely. I don't think I know who Jaden Smith is. I don't think I knew who Willow Smith was.
Yeah, Willow whips her hair back and forth. She whips her hair back and forth. She had a song, little tween song, so she's kind of a famous Smith as well.
But there's not really any kind of incest stuff. Like he's just
kind of eccentric.
Okay. But for some reason, it hasn't caught on with the black audience because, well, I guess because dragons are white folk shit. But there's one reason I recommend that we as a people incorporate Dem Thrones into our viewing habits. Should we have mentioned that Michael Harriot is a black man? Or would that have been racist? I guess it's important. It's only racist when it's not relevant to the conversation. In this case, it's relevant.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Good. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Phew.
We're good.
Phew. Oh, man, dodged that bullet. Okay. It explains Wypipo. And that's spelled Wypipo. And it's pronounced Wypipo.
Wypipo.
So when we get down here to the bold, do you want to read the bold or do you want to read the paragraph? Is that what you're setting me up for? You've got like there's one that you want.
That?
Which one do you want?
Not at all. Not at all. We can even swip it.
Just swip it. We can swip it.
We can flip it. Switch it.
Okay.
So it explains Wypipo. GOT is basically an all-encompassing analogy for white America and should be studied in the same way 7th grade English teachers make their students dissect Animal Farm, or Lord of the Flies to understand society. If you're late to the Thrones party, use the Q&A session below as a primer for every
primer.
Primer.
This is what I've recently learned. It looks like primer because there's one M, but it's actually pronounced primer. If you know.
Yeah, well,
if you're in the know.
It's like those shoes back in the 90s that like had the Velcro kind of sandals, but were also kind of shoes that a lot of people wore, started with a T.
No.
How do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
Is it Tiva or Teva?
I don't know. I didn't know what those were. I'm sorry.
Tevas?
Yeah.
Those like sandals? Horrible old man sandals?
But here, primer and primer, like this whole thing is like Bill Reel and I have been going back and forth on, is actually kind of profound. Because like, what's the reason for having rules of grammar in the first place? It's so that somebody that's not familiar with the etymology of a word, they're not familiar with the history and stuff, that they know, okay, I'll know how to pronounce it. So you've got these rules, and it says this is how you do it. But then you've got people that come in that go, well, but this is an exception because it's always been this way and we know it. It's kind of like society has this rule of don't kill anybody. And like, that's just what you follow. But then you got people, well, like there's this Laban guy and there's a reason why we've got to do this. So exceptions, right? So that's kind of, I don't know. I've been working on that.
Laban is it's close. You should take it on the tour, take it to the college.
Take it on the tour, take it out to the clubs and like work that one out. Okay.
But it's right there.
Yeah.
Wait, are you and Bill like are you guys recording things and going through?
You're really exposing your ignorance right now, aren't you?
Is that what that thing is? I haven't listened to it yet, man. I've had a busy couple weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been out of town.
Yeah. Listen to the behind closed doors that I put together for Sunday, and you'll hear, or the stuff on Patreon.
Yeah.
The stuff on Patreon that's like the Mormon Primer Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. I did Part 3 last night.
Wait, so you and Bill are doing these?
Yeah. So I'll record it.
No one else is involved. I thought I was going to come on to bridge to kind of bridge the.
You've been busy. Bill. What can I say? You've been super busy.
Really? Because I heard there might be another reason.
What's that?
Bill might not want me on.
Oh no, I don't think that's the case at all. But he and I aren't doing it live. So like I'll record something, I'll send it to him, and he'll comment on it. It's kind of like what we did with Zach and Friends.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like that.
Yeah. I'll catch up. I'll listen. I've been meaning to get to that, but I really have.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. But anyway, so the word is primer. Use the Q&A session below as a primer for everything you want to know. And I guess a primer means like a summary or a synopsis for everything you wanted to know about them Thrones, but we're afraid to ask. Mm-hmm. So I'll do the bold stuff, Matt, and you can read the response with character.
Okay.
All right.
And then
so I'm being like, this is the straight man role. I'm the straight man. Okay. What is Game of Thrones about?
The show's about white on white violence. The show's about a turf war between different gangs who want to win the ultimate prize, the Iron Throne. And you know that if there's one thing that white people,
you know what, you're like dangerously in that Michael Scott territory of doing
I'm trying really
Chris
hard
Rock.
Chris Rock, or do Michael Scott doing Chris Rock?
Right.
White people love more than territory. It's thrones.
I took Zoe to go see Spider-Man the other day.
Spider-Man, yeah.
And they had one of the previews was the Jumanji movie that's coming out. Have you seen the preview for that?
Rock?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen the preview yet.
Oh my gosh, the preview! It looks really, really good. And so there's this like the very last scene is Kevin Hart, and he's saying he's not going to go into water. And he goes, everybody knows you don't go into water with a backpack, something like that. And Zoe just was cracking, and that was like her thing that she was doing the rest of the day. And she was like trying to, go way the back, doing the whole inflection and everything like that. And it was hilarious. She had no idea how offensive she was being to the whole world.
Hey, now you're just telling her, go do the line to that person.
Go do it to them. Yeah. But I think even though the way that I'm going back to Michael, the way that he's presenting this is, kind of funny. I think he's right.
He's pretty good.
He's totally
pretty good.
Totally right. Like this is a show written by white people, and very like, I think you could go in and dissect it as he's doing a bit here.
George, and really, I guess it's George R.R. Martin. This is his universe, what he knows about.
Sure. Yeah, but he's informed by his culture, and that's a white culture. And
absolutely. And there's not anybody that's really even more white than George R.R. Martin. So,
is he a skinhead?
I don't know. He just looks like just doesn't look like he's got a lot of
soul
diversity. I don't know. Okay. Diversity experience. I don't know.
All right. But aren't there superpowers, dragons, and monsters and shit?
Yeah, but the supernatural elements of the show are used as analogies and symbolic metaphors.
So what do the dragons stand for?
White privilege.
And the monsters?
Wypipo.
What about the actual white people on the show?
Oh, they're also metaphors for Caucasians.
Wait. Is everything about white people?
Exactly. But Game of Thrones teaches us that not all white people are the same. That's what I'm trying to show you. If you'd stop being so racist.
Right? Me? How am I being... Okay, so are there any black people on the show?
Yes. There's a group of castrated warriors who were once slaved called the Unsullied.
Wait, let me guess. They were freed by...
white people. Yes, a blonde lady named Daenerys, who's impervious to fire, was born with the ability to ride dragons and was gifted at birth with the dragon eggs that would eventually hatch. Daenerys rode the dragons, or her privilege, to save the slaves. And of course, after she frees them from lives dedicated to fighting in wars for their masters, they decide to spend their lives fighting for her, their queen, and help her ride her privileged dragons all the way to the Iron Throne. All right, you want to swap? You start doing the...
No. This is good. We're good. Unless you want to swap, Matt. Do you want to swap?
Yeah, let's swap.
Okay.
I want to hear what you do with the character.
and I'm just trying to avoid that altogether.
So they dedicated themselves.
This is going to be one of those things that we hear from John Hamer going, you guys, no, you can't do it. You can't do it.
No. So they dedicated themselves to the white savior woman because she saved their people's masculinity. Oh, this is getting kind of interesting. But if the show's about politics, white people, and privilege, is there someone like Donald Trump?
Yeah, they're the Lannisters, the symbol of white privilege. Everyone thinks that they're rich, but they really don't have any money. However, no one in the Seven Kingdoms has seen their tax returns. They exist mostly by colluding with forces outside Westeros to keep their power by any means necessary. Tiffany Trump is played by Peter Dinklage. That's mean. That's so mean. Who is ostracized by the family. There are also, except Peter did kill Tywin Lannister.
Well, yeah, his dad.
So
well, maybe Tiffany is the answer. She's the savior.
Yeah. Okay. There are also Jaime and Cersei, twins whose lifelong love affair has produced 3 children who are all dead.
Man, this sounds interesting now. I just wish there were more black people.
Well, there are the Starks, who I referred to as our cousins.
Who are the Starks?
The Starks are a family who chilled in their own segregated neighborhood, not bothering anybody. Ned was the father. He had 5 kids. He was also raising his nephew, Jon Snow. His sister got knocked up by this crazy guy, and you know how we do. Anyway, Ned let his homeboy convince him to take this good job and let his daughter marry a white boy and moved his family into a white neighborhood. Ned fell for the trap, and the Lannister Trumps cut his head off because Ned knew about the Russian collusion.
Damn, I got to see this. Now tell me about the monsters.
The White Walkers?
Is that your nickname for them?
Nah, brah. They're really called White Walkers. They're blue-eyed white devils who kill and destroy everything in their path. I know it's a little on the nose, but that's actually what's happening on the show. And the only thing that might be able to stop them is...
Let me guess. Our cousins.
Exactly. Even though the Stark kids have been split up ever since their father died, they've all faced a rough life that makes them tough as hell. Plus, they've quietly acquired superpowers that no one else knows about. And all the Starks can fight like a motherfucker. Even the youngest girl, whose superpower is that she can blend in with white people.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is.
That's really good.
Now, all our Stark cousins are trying to get back to the old neighborhood for the family reunion so they can stop the white walkers from taking over. There are some other groups who can help. The Queen of White Privilege is headed over with her ballless black army, and our nephew John has convinced the poor white rednecks, or the wildlings, it should have been the white trash, to fight with him and the Starks. Plus, the whole hood is on our side because they know Ned always kept it 100 until the the Kingsguard, executed him.
Well, I'm convinced. I'm already hooked on Game of Thrones and I haven't watched an episode. But will it actually teach me about politics and life?
I have no idea. But when Donald Trump announced his run for president, I told people the same thing our Stark cousins have been telling people on Game of Thrones about the White Walkers since the first episode. But no one would listen. Winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, but this season,
winter is here.
Winter is here. Yeah.
The North remembers.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You nailed it, huh?
It was entertaining. It was entertaining.
The blue-eyed white devils who kill everything in their path.
Yeah.
It does. Thought about it before, but never highlighted it that much. Just how privileged Daenerys is with these damn dragons and not being able to be killed by fire. She really can be as reckless as she wants. She's kind of got that ace in the hole. The 3 dragons.
Yeah, but it's not just the 3 dragons, because what she did last season, where she took on all the calls of the Dothraki.
Right.
She just destroyed them all, and not a dragon in sight until it was all over and done. Just her and her firepower.
Her imperviousness to fire was pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does she do with what's the green stuff? The stuff that explodes.
Yeah, I forget exactly what they call it, but yeah, like liquid fire or whatever that is.
Whatever. Yeah.
Because that's Cersei's main go-to weapon now, and it's not going to work on Dany.
Yeah, but stolen from. I mean, that's a Targaryen weapon.
Weapon, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you asking me?
I don't know. So she's already got kind of a nice little defense to that, right? Her not being able to, get killed by fire. Fire bad. Oh, yeah. I'm really enjoying it, man.
Cool.
Even the brand stuff, finally.
Oh yeah, as the 3-eyed raven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I would fast forward through his stuff most of the time in the other older episodes. So
we want to tell everyone out there to watch Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, you should definitely watch Game of Thrones. It's as he says, it's just entertainment.
Yeah,
they do a great job.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they don't like.
I don't know how to wrap this up. I'm like trying to get to something profound, but there really.
Oh, there's nothing other than TV is great. What I heard they call it. They have a term for it now. It's like something TV, something television. It's like not extreme televisioners, but like the Dexters and the Breaking Bads and the Game of Thrones. All these really well written and acted and. Shot just high end cinema really by TV. There's a new term for it though. So.
Well, I look forward to finding out what that is. I think that's going to be awesome. Whenever that happens, that's going to be awesome. Great.
Well, it'll close this loop anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, so I did want to ask you.
Yeah.
So you Sansa or Jon? Like in the move,
what are you asking me?
So they have that little debate, right? The little row over whether or not you restore the bannermen who betrayed you and went and fought for the Boltons, whether or not you restore them to their lands or you take their lands from them and give them to the people who were loyal. Who's right? It matters, man.
Well, Sansa's right, but the application was wrong.
How so?
Because she undermined John's authority and weakened the group by doing that. Like that's something that should have been agreed upon before ahead of time. Yeah. But I agree. I think that because they betrayed them, that they should have suffered a consequence. There has to be some kind of a consequence for that.
But the North remembers Glenn and what he said about the years and years and years and years of loyalty. You kill the men who who were the betrayers, not their children.
Did I give the wrong answer then? Is it not? Is it not really Sansa?
I think it's John. I thought it was clear. I was interested in. It just seems so clear that of course John takes the better position. You don't.
Well, I wonder if it really is even Sansa's position, or if it's Littlefinger that's been whispering that in her ear, and she thinks that it's hers. Because she's just a woman.
Well,
I don't really mean that. I'm like making fun of people who
right. It's sardonic humor, which we can't do anymore.
Right? Yeah. There's no room for that.
I was explaining sardony to people, or to the kids, to to Tommy's friends. They'd never. So I was like, All in the Family, which is a horrible reference to 18-year-olds. But that type of humor doesn't really exist anymore.
Really? Like Family Guy's not like that? The Simpsons isn't like that?
I don't think so. It's not like you're being racist by you're pointing out and making fun of racism by having a racist character.
David Brent from The Office was pretty sardonic that way. Ricky Gervais does that.
That is,
but it's not as ubiquitous maybe as Archie Bunker was back in the day.
That is a better a little more modern example that some people would say, but anyway.
Well, get Tommy's friends back and go, hey, David Brent, because that'll probably be just as much to them as Archie Bunker.
Exactly. Yeah, but she also. Here's my other. Scott nailed it though on Sansa. How she hasn't grown up in the North. She doesn't know the North people. She's been in King's Landing.
Yeah. She said that she learned a lot from Cersei, and so it's more kind of like Cersei tactics.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to wear like a Team Cersei T-shirt or something like that.
Well, you're at least Team Sansa. I think that's what we'll have. Team John, Team Sansa as this rift develops.
Yeah.
See, the question is, do they really just tie it up? There's got to be more conflict than what seems to be happening. That everything's coming to this head with the Daenerys and all the people that are now on her. Because it seems like she's like the Golden State Warriors at this point. Right, Daenerys. I mean, right? She's got the
she's got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry.
And then she's got the boat. She's got the Unsullied. She's got the damn dragons.
Yeah.
And all right, so John's got the Northerners and the Vale people, right now. So he's basically got Rob's army back, essentially.
Okay.
But then Cersei's like wiped out. Oh, and they've got Dorne. Daenerys also has Dorne and Highgarden.
Oh, right. Yeah. Wow. You're getting so nerdy right now, man. I'm like kind of like beside myself. I just don't know how to respond.
Wait, listen, man. Listen, Mr. Lost and Westworld, and you know those things in and out. And you know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend like you don't.
I just finished watching Lost again, actually, just on Sunday, because when my kids were visiting, we started watching it, and then after they went back, Zoe wanted to finish it. It doesn't, like I still appreciate it, but it doesn't rank up, like for whatever that elusive word was for like the Dexters and the Westworlds and stuff. Yeah. It kind of started in that trajectory, but then it got a little so.
Well,
I just want to, like, I love Lost, but I need to make that
different level.
No, yeah.
I got into Lost after a couple seasons, and when I first got into it, I was actually watching the reruns on DirecTV or whatever on Channel 15. and whatever, ABC. And as they were replaying it, they would skip certain episodes, but you wouldn't notice it. So it's they were able to tell the whole story by bypassing these filler episodes that were there. So I'd like to do like a Jake and Erica and recut it.
You're going to have to explain that reference.
Where they recut the Hobbit into one movie.
Yeah, like 1 hour and 30-minute movie or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I think they took like the 9 hours or whatever, and basically turned it into like a 2 hour and 30 minutes. It's like a pretty long epic movie, but it's from 3 films.
Yeah.
So I want to do that with what that taught me is with Lost, and with a lot of these shows, there's just these filler episodes that don't advance the main story, and they start maybe down a road, but really don't add anything, and it never comes back again. Like the episode with what was his name? Was it the kind of bad guy that he toggled back and forth, but the kind of main mousy dude that was
Ben Linus.
Ben, yeah. So there was like that one of those flashback episodes, one of those episodes when they introduced like this girl that you thought was, this is going to be a big deal, and no, they just told that story and never to be heard from or talked about again.
No, okay. So you're talking about Annie, and so you're baiting me to expose my nerdiness now because
what?
Yeah, because they actually said on a DVD commentary that she was going to be a significant part of the story, and so like I made a website. Like when this stuff was going on, I made a website of like lost things, and I like made these predictions that the reason that Ben brought Juliet to the island as a fertility doctor was because he had gotten Annie pregnant, and then she died with their child, and that's why he kidnapped Rousseau's daughter to like replace the child that he lost, and that he was trying to solve this problem of fertility on the island so that he could then take it back in time and save Annie. And I'm like, that's totally where they're going with this. That makes sense. And so when they abandoned that, I felt betrayed. I thought they read my blog and they went, can't do that anymore. That one guy figured us out.
That's funny.
So I want to try this feature on here and see if this even works. Did you ever see the thing? Let me try and find it here. It was a Comic-Con video that they made after the end of Lost. Maybe it's this one. And so they like took some scenes. So what I'm going to try and do here, I think I can share my screen with you, and that then that listeners, or like when we post this on Patreon as a video, that they'll be able to see it too. I want to see if that works.
Do you really think all this is an accident? That we, a group of strangers, survived? Many of us with just superficial injuries?
So are you seeing this, Matt?
You think we crashed on this place by coincidence?
So we can do our Mystery 3000 now with this.
Right.
We were brought here for a purpose, for a reason, all of us. Each one of us was brought here for a reason. Brought here. And who brought us here,
He's such an asshole. Like watching it back the second time, I realized what a big asshole Jack is. But this is great. This is the stuff they added for Comic-Con.
This is no ordinary.
The doctor has no idea, does he? Why is he so afraid?
Jack. And where's that path end, John? The path ends at the hatch. The hatch, Jack. All of it happened so that we could open the hatch.
No, we're opening the hatch so that we can survive. I find that Scottish guy down there pushing the button. He is going to be pissed. If he wasn't pushing that button, we'd all be in a lot of trouble. Oh, okay. Like, say, more trouble than getting turned into black smoke. Takes on the form of dead people. Okay, you really need to get over that.
I don't believe in destiny. Yes, you do. You just don't know it yet.
call me a monster, Jacob. Me. I'm a monster. Get it? All because you threw me down into some underground river of shiny magic light.
That shiny magic light is very important. It happens to be the source of
A yahoo for you and your light. Okay, Jacob? And I swear to God, if you start with any of that whole, the island is a cork thing, I will go nuts.
It's a good metaphor.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, we'll see how happy these people are when you explain their whole reason for being here with a metaphor.
You think they'll be disappointed?
They want answers, Jacob, not corks.
Well, maybe they'll give me the benefit of the doubt once they start jumping around in time.
Right, because time travel always helps things make more sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Really? Like picking 6 candidates to replace you because you're sick of being in charge, and you know that I'll inevitably disguise myself as candidate number 4 so I can manipulate Ben Linus into killing you? That kind of sense?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do.
I do not. Do too.
Do not do two.
Do not. Do too.
Do not do two. Do not. It's infinity.
You know what? You've got a bad attitude, Barry.
Hey, don't call me that.
Why not? It's your name, Barry.
You mother.
What did you think of doing that? It was a little long.
What?
Watching that thing, it was a little long.
It was a little long.
It was mainly that end part, because you were talking about how you watched it and then you figured out like what it's really about. And I love watching them make fun of what it's really about.
What it's about, yeah.
They're like, oh, you think that people aren't going to be happy with it being explained as a metaphor? You know?
I should go back and watch it, although I really shouldn't, because there's so much other good TV.
No, yeah.
I mean, missing so much. I just started watching. What else did I start watching? Yeah. Are you watching the Defiant Ones?
No.
There's an HBO documentary interview with all the different musicians.
I saw an advertisement for that. That's like good. Tupac, right?
Well, it's a whole bunch. So they start like Dr. Dre. They're interviewing.
See, I never got into that music scene.
No.
I don't really know him that well.
That scene, I think you will really, really enjoy.
I think I would.
There's Beatles stuff in it.
but I'm like,
Dr. Dre's
like this is an area where I feel like I missed out, and so I like wanted to go. Okay, I need to catch up because this is a deficiency in my experience.
No, but it tells the story about these different people. But it's I'm the first, just the first one in, and there's like I think there's only like four or six, but
yeah,
a lot of it is about the Dr. Dre's business partner or the producer. Who goes back to being called in to be involved with the Beatles and Bruce Springsteen and others. So he's been in the business for a long, long time. It's kind of really an interesting. So the first one is really, it introduces Dre, or it starts as it's going to be about Dr. Dre, but then it goes and really tells a little more about this guy. So it's
interesting.
And they get into different things from the Beatles and from. So far, a little bit about Anyway, all these guys get into I guess Lady Gaga. They get into what's his name, Marilyn Manson. So they're kind of, as I understand that they're interviewing other artists about things that are going on with these other artists. And anyway, check it out. I think you will really enjoy it.
I will check it out.
Yeah, and Rick and Morty. Get back into that.
I tried, man. I just find Rick so obnoxious. He's just like he just grates against my sensibilities so much.
It's as a personality.
Marty. Come on, yeah, come on, Marty. Oh, we're gonna do this. Okay, come on, Marty. Okay, you gotta go over and do this thing.
You gotta have the
touch me here, Marty. Go do this, Marty. Okay, here, Marty. Go do this one. Oh, it just drives me insane. I can't.
It's the voicing. Is that primarily?
It's the voicing and the constant repetition of okay, Marty. Okay, Marty. Okay, Marty. Okay, come on here, Marty. It's like I want to turn my brain off.
I need to see if I'm right on this, but I think a lot of it is just ad lib, and it's got a Christopher Guest quality about it.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Does
that make you feel better? Does that the stuttering and the I love it. Man.
Not particularly, no, because it's that character, that, and like Marty just follows along. It's like, what? I'm gonna do. Oh, what? What am I? What is? Oh no! Oh no! It's like, oh no! What is? What is? Come on here, Marty! Come on here, Marty! Oh, you did this, Marty! You're holding on this.
But what they're doing, the stories that they're telling, and the messages that they're conveying are quite brilliant.
I think you're right about that. I just haven't been able to get to it yet.
And it took me a long time. I feel you. It took me a good 3 or 4 times where I don't get it, and it annoys me, and
it's just so repulsive. It's so repulsive.
I did it. I went, oh.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is really funny, and this is really clever, and some of the
I grant that, it's just I haven't been able to get to it yet.
You see, I turned Randy onto it. We did one episode with or recording with Jake, and I don't remember, it was just a few months ago, and brought it up, and so they both committed. I think
it took Jake a while to get into it too, right? Didn't it?
Yeah, he said, "All right, I'll give it another try." Randy did the same thing. He's like, "I've tried, it sucks, I don't like it," and so I encouraged both of them to push through, and again, missionary guided them. Will you give Rick and Morty another shot for your own entertainment?
Okay. So, is it trying to intentionally be a Doc Brown, Marty McFly homage thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely that's the inspiration, and they're taking from those characters, and with the taking him around on adventures because he's got that Doc Brown thing. Marty, oh, you got to do this. We've got to do that. Oh, go do this. So everyone is that.
Great Scott.
Yeah, and then Marty's, oh God, Doc, what do you?
Yeah.
This is heavy, man. Yeah. Oh, all right, dude. Well, that was fun. We got to get Scott on to do the Trump.
I talked to Scott tonight. We need to get Jake, because I think reading those emails, dramatizing the emails.
That's a good idea.
That's what Scott wants to do, and I just think Jake would be so great with that. He'd get into his Transylvania Spanish Mexican voice.
That's right. Well, and now that Jake has come full circle and just given a complete mea culpa, that's helpful.
He has?
Yeah. He texted Scott and was like, yeah, dude, how does everybody not know this?
Oh, I haven't heard this story.
Oh, yeah. Because I brought it up, and he said, oh, yeah, Jake texted me the other day.
So Jake's kind of backed off of where he was a couple months ago on the dossier thing?
Yeah, I think he realizes, okay, yeah,
it's not fake news.
It's not fake news. It turns out there was evidence in his evidence, and
it needs to be exposed.
I think how Fonzie said,
by infants on thrones.
He was
wrong. I'm Fonzie, man.
I was playing around with a thing like that with
Take It on the Road.
Yeah, I was going to do something with my Bill Reel mea culpas. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Are you really sorry though?
No,
I don't think so.
No, it's a freaking podcast. It's an episode. That's the other piece about that I've been thinking about is these were a bunch of podcasters on talking, about, I don't know. It's trying to, making a point to make a point. I'm not trying to have a diplomatic conversation with a, believer and really, let's really, I have the ability to do that. I mean, we could do that. That wasn't really the point of that episode, or probably many episodes. I don't know. That's not really what, I mean, there are some, I mean, if we do the thing on, my conversation with my dad was very different than.
Are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You can do anything with that?
Yeah.
I've got that in my Dropbox folder, and every time I open it up, I see that there, and I'm like, oh man, you got to do that. Was really good.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I need to go back and listen to it again, and maybe I'll go through and cut it up and talk about it a little bit.
That's one that you could like just superimpose your narrative over the top of it as you're, like walking the audience through it. It could be just like you're like a Matt minisode.
Yeah. Well, that'll be.
I mean, it wouldn't be a minisode. It'd be.
Well, no, I could cut it.
I
mean, the conversation was like an hour and a half.
Probably.
But so I could even cut it down to little, little points and probably even get it down. But because there's probably go a little long there, but yeah. So I mean, like I said, that's how we talk. If there's ways to bridge gaps, but there's no reason to bridge a gap for a guy like Bill. I mean, anyway. We stop recording then. So, hey, Glenn.
I heard you had a friend.
I have this friend.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about this friend of yours that you had?
All right. So we were talking off recording about the Mormon disingenuousness, or Mormon, the bubblegum, what would you call it? The saccharine sweet
and
niceness.
And we weren't talking about Bill Reel at all. We weren't talking about Bill Reel.
I didn't say that.
No, we weren't.
I wasn't. We were talking about my friend.
Yeah.
But who is to me the quintessential like Mormon saccharine nice guy, polite, kind, that just isn't. And that it's the opposite.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why people don't see him as being kind, because he thinks he's being kind in everything.
Super kind. He's the kindest guy out there. He's nice. He's polite. Contention is of the devil. He won't argue with people. He's just, Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
And I got to know him really, really well. I worked with him for a long, long time. And he started having these qualities that you realize were just not nice. And it was, he just didn't get it. And so the one I was talking about was that he would do the fake invite, not the fake invite, the insincere invite. Like, doesn't want to tell somebody else that they can't come.
He doesn't want anybody to feel excluded.
Left out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be weird.
But he doesn't really want them to come.
Right. But he didn't, the other person didn't know. It's not like everybody was talking about a party like you're in 5th grade. Hey, come to my birthday party. We're going to do this. And there's like, oh, hey, John, you should come too. It wasn't like that. It was just at some point there was a get together on the weekend. We were going to go to dinner as a couples. And he invites my one friend, another guy in the office. Hey, you should come too, which is funny because they just didn't get along really. My other friend really didn't like this guy, and he had a thing about Mormons, so that was probably part of it. And so he'd kind of pick on this guy a little bit. So we're like, what are you doing? You invited him? And he's like, well, no, I just assume he won't come. I'm like, okay. Well,
why are you inviting him?
That's kind of a dicky thing to do. And so then I go and talk to my other friend and say, hey, are you going to go this weekend? He like looks at me. He's like, no, he doesn't want me to be there. I'm not going. I was like, yeah, I mean, I figured, but I'd like you to be there. He's like, yeah, that's great. And so then later in the afternoon, the Mormon friend goes over and again, just goes out of his way. Actually, I remember this now. He's walking by the office and he steps in and is going out of his way to re-invite him to this thing, either that night or the next day. And my buddy's now pissed because he's like, it's the one thing when he kind of gave me the fake invite. That's annoying enough. But now to come in and really double down on
oh, you're totally welcome. Oh,
you should come.
You'll be so missed.
Yeah. You're not coming. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, that's too bad.
And it's all this like nice facade of like, and because he doesn't want to have to be the asshole that tells the person, oh, you're going to be excluded from this.
Right.
So instead, he turns the other person. He forces the other person to have to be the asshole to decline the really kind invitation.
Super kind. He's such a nice guy. Invites me.
And that's why when they ask, oh, who's the nicest guy in the office, he's not even in the top 5.
Right. That's
he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why.
Am I not?
But they all see it.
Yeah. And one time he asked that question. We talked about who's the nicest guy in the office. He didn't make the list. And he was so shocked at that he had the nerve, he had the audacity to say, well, what about me? I should make the list of the night. It's like, who's the best looking guy in here? I mean, I make that list, right? It was just so presumptive, but he does that. And so then people said, no, here's the things you do. And people now it wasn't just strangers that are telling us at this point. These are people that have known him for years. And another friend felt like, he's like, you want to know? I'm going to tell you why. You give people false invitations. You are insincere when you do things and say things, and you lie a lot. And that just blew him away. Like, lie, that's a big no-no, right? This is in Mormon world, that you're not a liar. He's like, yeah, you lie by omission constantly. He said, I have to cross-examine you in order to get any information out. To
get the full story, like what is it that you're really thinking? What is it that you really feel?
Yeah.
Because you're so carefully constructing this message and this persona to avoid any contention, because that's of the devil. And also you always want to make people feel like they're welcome to join the Mormon Church.
Yes. Everything's a missionary moment.
You don't want to turn them off.
Missionary moment. Exactly.
And just like, oh, it's great. No, yeah, you're welcome.
That's exactly.
I still have that, like those inclinations inside of me. Like it's sometimes hard for me to. I think I've gotten better at this, but to just come out and be very real. Like there's other ways to make sure that people don't feel bad, without being insincere about stuff, and that's a skill set that you're never forced to learn in the Mormon Church, because it's so pervasive to just do this other thing that you're like, oh well, everything's great. Isn't everything great? Oh, I don't have any problems with you. I don't. No, why would I have any problems with you? No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm a good person, and good people don't have problems with other people. Yeah, that's something that I struggle with still.
Yeah, and I see it more, or I'm able to identify it more in a professional setting, and I've seen it with a couple of the more devout, the more kind of tied to the church people are. You see those same traits manifest, and I'd call people out on it because I knew the game. I knew it's like I joke with my senior companion on the mission is, dude, don't missionary guide me. That was what I tell them all the time, because I found it so insincere. It's like, you do that to other people, but you don't do that to me.
Yeah.
And so I'd see those same techniques coming up in a professional setting, and seeing what really amounts to a form of manipulation. And it's not just Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence people stuff.
Right.
It's not. And that's it's so incredibly, I don't know, for me, it's a pet peeve. I don't have a good poker face and don't have a good job. I don't do a good job dealing diplomatically with people like that. And when I get that vibe, I get uncomfortable being around people that are expressing that, to the point where I just want to remove myself from the situation, because it's like that feeling when you see other people getting humiliated or get really, really embarrassed. That when you feel embarrassed for them, that's that same reaction that I have when I sense the testimony voice coming on, and I'm going to be nice, and I want to really validate you, and I had an argument with an attorney one time, fairly recently, and he did that. He was a former bishop, former stake president, whatever, and he kind of did that. Oh, Matt, I'm sure sorry. I said, whoa, don't. I don't need to hear, you're sorry. And you didn't say you're sorry, but it was I'm sorry you took it that way. I'm sorry you're offended. I said, I'm not sure what leadership training you've been to where they teach that, but all of you do it. All of you do it. And I just flat out called him out. I said, it's not sincere. You're not sorry. So don't even bother. And so he, I'm sure I don't know how he took that, but I'm just done with it.
If that was me, if you were saying that to me, I would be so confused, because I'm like, Matt, I'm trying to do everything that I can to smooth over the situation.
Right.
I'm trying to be the peacemaker in this, and with having no awareness that being disingenuous as a peacemaker does not a peacemaker make.
Yeah.
Something like
it's like peace is the higher virtue to
right. Lack of contention, because that's of the devil. And you don't disagree with people. Don't do anything that's uncomfortable. And it is that whole passive aggressive culture that comes in there, that everything's great.
That's when people say Mormons are passive aggressive, maybe I think it's thrown around, and it's very accurate, but it's more helpful to get into real specifics and say these are examples of that. You know, my sister-in-law, it's gotten better over time, but she was particularly bad at that, and I just couldn't stand being around her because of it, because it was just, oh geez, you guys are just, you're the best parents in the world, and I was just kind of looking at her, I was like, I know you don't believe that. I know you don't. My wife works, and I know your opinion on that because you've articulated it, very recently. So don't look at me and tell me how amazing I am and what a great parent I am when I know otherwise. And that was kind of the stuff that just there are ways to like I think you said, make people feel better, make people feel good without doing that. If you don't give a fake compliment or and that's what I just can't stand that at all. And it's just a very, very Mormon trait, I think. But I've found recently, rather than just going along with it, especially with my family members, is just to be me and be nice and be polite, but just kind of shift the conversation, or just I'm not going to sit there and be, I'm not going to have fake conversations. I'm not going to do 2 hours of small talk. Yeah. And that's what seems to be required. That's kind of what a lot of that is. But and it's the other thing that may be related to this is the inability to be real with really close friends and family. And by that, I mean, if somebody's struggling, or if somebody's kid isn't making the best decisions, or is giving them stress, they won't talk about it. They can't talk about it, and they hide it. And and one of the and if we're family and if we care about each other, isn't this the time to reach out and say, man, I'm struggling with my kid. I'm not sure what to do. I'm scared, and he's mad, and whatever. Isn't that what family should be there for? And if not that, then why? I mean, what type of conversations are we having? And then there's an element of disingenuousness to that too. To me, is we're brothers and sisters, or we're whatever our relationship is. That's supposed to, and we talk about how much that means. You're the most important. They say the right things that people say related to family, but then when the rubber meets the road, at the end of the day, 6 of one, half dozen the other, whatever the phrase is, they don't manifest it when things really matter. And instead, we don't want to talk about when, we're whatever's happening with Junior, or when so-and-so struggling, or, whatever it is. And it's not that I want to know, or that it's certainly not gossipy, but I know when I'm struggling with my kids or struggling with life, I want to be able to talk to people about it, and people that care and are going to at least be there to give advice. And I don't know, man. So to me, there's that is an element of that, of being less than genuine. And yeah.
And the thing that I think is so hard for me about that, because again, I've got that programmed in me that I want to be nice. And so, like, saying that they're being disingenuous, that they're not being genuine, I can't completely go there, because I think they are being genuine to the standard that they believe is the right standard to that this is how you should act. This is what Jesus wants you to be doing. This is what the prophets say, and be the peacemaker, avoid conflict at all costs. And, so doing that, there's such a lack of awareness of just how disingenuous it is, in other areas, like that you're not being real. You're not taking responsibility for your own failures. You're pretending that those failures aren't there. And like, it's better, I think, to just say, yeah, you know what, I fail in these areas, or I've got problems in these areas and I need help in these areas, but you can't admit that. And that lack of a bit, I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. I'm tired.
No. I think it's yeah, I can.
We should have been recording this when we were
fresh. No, oops, sorry. You said something though that triggered a thought. It's not just when it's contentious, or it's not to just avoid contention. It's when it's happening when things are neutral, and that's when it's so. Like, I get when someone's getting worked up, you're wanting to calm it down, and you're just trying to, I'm just reminded of my sister-in-law, where we were having a conversation and we were actually, getting to some real stuff, and she just said, there's too much contention here. It's like, wait a minute, but the conversation's just getting good. We're just getting to a place of understanding and I think and realness. And there was that to me, there was so much value there, but for her it was contention, and let's shut that down. But my main thing, even that, I could give her a pass for that, as much as when things are neutral and we're being pleasant, it's the being disingenuous when even when things are neutral. But yeah. Okay. So can I do this now? Can I share my screen?
Mm-hmm. You can try. Will it let you? It is. It's either you're sharing your screen or Randy's. I can't tell. I can't hear any volume though.
Oh, you can't? Huh. What the hell's going on?
Are you able to hear it?
Yeah. So you can't. You can't hear it, huh? But I wonder if it's because you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so my thing's connected to this. So I'm wondering how
you're not going through your computer settings or something.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'll just have to figure it out. Oh, look, now I can give you mouse and keyboard control to you.
What?
Huh. Okay. Anyway. I was just reminded that Louis C.K. clip, because it's the one where the friend tells the other friend, "You're amazing. You're just amazing." He says, "That's just a shitty friend. You don't need to be telling people they're amazing all the time when they might be." And that's how I feel with Mormons are great at, oh man, it's just, we all do the amazing thing, right? Everything's just amazing. But again, the over compliments with the Mormons as being, anyway, repeating myself now, but
Mormons suck.
They suck. Remember when we were Mormon?
See, this is an example of being sardonic, which we lost because we didn't record that part,
Yeah. No, and I really, there's a class, there's just a certain, you called it a cultural, what did you call it, that being really nice and that perception of what other people may perceive as disingenuous. You said it's a cultural marker. It's just kind of a
some culturally learned. I don't know.
Yeah, it's culture. Yeah, I guess it's culturally learned. And I think it is, because I've heard, I've talked about the Marshallese. They do the same thing where I say they're liars, right? And it's not that they're just liars. It's that they will tell you what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You can never get you. They will tell you they will be baptized tomorrow. They will tell you they will go to church. They will tell you whatever you want to hear, and it's really hard to know whether or not they're
just to avoid conflict.
Yeah, just make you feel that is certainly cultural, and there definitely is an element of it too. In Mormonism, the problem is with the Marshallese. That is truly a cultural. Everyone is like that here. It's a very this culture within a broader culture that they have to interact with, and I think they don't. But they don't get it. And I'll say that to the lack of self-awareness of my friend that I said was an example. We're at lunch, at work at lunch. And I'm telling a story about I'm sure I've told the story in another episode. I feel like at some point we can just find all this material in previous episodes. But I was telling a story about a friend whose husband had cheated on her, and they were getting divorced, and just she's real nice, blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh, how do you know him?" I said, "Well, they're in our ward." And he's like, "Oh, they're Mormon? Well, that makes it worse." And my non-Mormon buddy who's at lunch just kind of perks up and looks over and says, why would that make it worse? And I knew the answer to that, but I wanted to see what his response to that would be. So I'm just kind of sitting there to see what his response is. He's like, oh no, I mean, it's not, I mean, it would be bad. And I said, no, you mean because Mormons are better and you expect more from them. And he kind of jokingly said, well, yeah, but no, that's exactly what it was. I mean, he couldn't shut off his bias for
pro-Mormon bias.
Yeah. Even though he's surrounded almost daily, there's not that, we don't work with a bunch of Mormons. That's not like you got people in your ward and that's just that culture. But it was interesting how he was incapable of shutting that off in his brain, even while he's around non-Mormons. But anyway. So thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, you're welcome, Matt. Sorry, I'm getting so tired and sleepy and tired and sleepy.
You should go to bed. I was tired 2 hours ago, and then I gotta.
But you're awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I've got no problem with anything that you ever say or do.
Whatever.
All right, talk to you later, man.
Hey, I'm just glad I could work through, be friends with you for this long and work with you for this long.
Yeah, it's been nice.
So,
yeah.
Well, we were warned about you.
Yeah.
And you've proven to not be that guy.
Unless I've just done a really, really good job of pulling the wool over your eyes,
No,
as that toxic influence.
Yeah, I think you would have. I don't think you could have held it together this long if it wasn't genuine.
Yeah,
I know better than that.
That's what all of Joseph Smith's friends thought too. Hey there, listeners, and in some cases, viewers. So Matt and I just were talking about passive aggressiveness as an element of Mormon culture, and this is something that I've heard about for a long time, I've been somewhat aware of for a long time, really interested in fleshing this out a little bit more. So I want to hear from you. I want you to send us an email at infantsonthrones.com. Wait, that's a website. No, the email address is infantsonthrones@gmail.com. There you go. And tell us, what do you think? Are we on to something? Is this right? Is this fair? Is it unfair? And especially what I'd like to know, what are your experiences with passive aggressiveness, either in being passive aggressive yourself or in having other people act passive aggressively towards you? Send us that, and we'll pick some stories, we'll read them, we'll talk about it for future episodes. So hope you enjoyed this. The video version is available on Patreon if you'd like to watch us talk about this. Otherwise, thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hi, this is Hillary.
Matthew, Ryan,
Carol,
Keith,
Ashley, and I like to play bingo online while listening to Infants on Thrones.
You can comment on this episode on the website, infantsonthrones.com.
And if you really like what you hear, give the Quorum a 5-star rating and write a short review on iTunes.
I did.
Anyone for the closing prayer?
Thank you for listening to Infants on Thrones. Infants on Thrones.